What do you do for fun? Besides music.
I love just listening to music. I love creating music. To me, it doesn't ever really feel like a job. It's just something that I enjoy doing, which is amazing to know that I can say something like that and like never get sick of it. But
do you still search for new music?
Oh, absolutely, man.
Yeah.
Like one of my big things on tour is going into local record stores, finding the closest one and Ubering or lifting there or whatever, hitching a ride and going and checking out, local record stores and seeing what kind of collections are there, and also to kind of talk to the owners and, thank them for staying in business and stuff like that. I feel like being a musician, it's so important to know that people are still supporting music and supporting physical formats. And I'll burn 2 or 3 hours just sitting in record stores listening to music and just randomly grabbing stuff and listening to it. And to me, it's really kind of like a therapeutic thing. Whereas also, I guess I don't view music as stressful. I think that all of the busyness that comes through being a touring and a recording musician can get overwhelming. But I think music itself will never feel like that to me. So it's almost like it's different when you just kind of get to just kind of sit there and listen. And that's pretty important to me. So yeah, I'm always looking for that. And I love looking for new local bands too. I always talk to our fans on Twitter, and I encourage other fans to give me demos. And if you ever see me, I would love to check your band out. And that's just because I love finding new bands and just listening to music in general. And I feel like anybody should deserve an audience, and I'm not any more entitled to listen to anything than anything else. I just love listening to stuff. So if somebody would want me to hear it, I'll take a listen. That's cool.
Yeah. Hey, if you're ever in Ventura, maybe the Warped Tour or Ventura Theater, you got to check out Salzers. Like, we have a killer freaking a local scene here, and
oh, sick, really,
dude,
cool.
Yeah, that's how I started. Doing this whole thing is we have like a radio show, like a podcast type thing, and we have like bands in every week, like from the scene.
Oh, cool.
And because when I was a kid,
dude,
that's exactly what I used to do. Is I used to sit in Salzers and just listen, and it is therapeutic. You mentioned that, but I didn't really think about it till you said it. Like, I can sit there for 3 hours and not be bored and really feel like I have a connection with the universe type thing,
For sure, dude. And it's something that, it's funny. I was just talking to the barber about it today. I was getting my hair cut this morning. And music just isn't digested anymore. And it's kind of, and it can be, but it's not the way that the general public does it anymore. And even though that, it used to take like, between 4 and 8 steps to get to buy an album. You know what I mean? Like, you had to get your parents to take you, or you had to take the bus, and then you had to get there. But before that, you had to work, and you had to get the $8 for the record, or, you know what I mean? And like, there was so much that it felt like it was such an accomplishment. It felt like an accomplishment to get that music. And so you wanted to just love every song, and you wanted to listen to every song front to back. And I think music is kind of, the way that it's digested now is different, but that doesn't mean that it can't still be made the same way and lived in a way that, you hope that other musicians would do it. Like, we write songs about what we go through to let people know that, we're human, that we have feelings too, that we have these same emotions, that we still feel just like anybody else. We just have an extraordinary job, but at the end of the day, we're all the same. We're all just music lovers.
Yeah.
And we use music to like help us and to even like give us joy and bring us happiness. So it's a really cool thing to be able to do that. And I think it's important to let people know that it's still important to show artists that you appreciate them and don't think you're too cool to go stand at a rock show or to bang your head or mosh, like, that's what it's all about, is about enjoying that time and not having to give a fuck about anything else but the music and but the song and how it makes you feel.
When I was growing up, maybe I was a sophomore, and me and my friend Brian, we used to have to bike. Like we were in Port Hueneme, so it's like by car to get to Ventura is probably like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So we would have to bike like on our little 10 speeds, you know what I mean? And go all the way down there. And like you said, it's an accomplishment. Like, all right, I got my, at the time, it was like, I was going to go buy the new, what is it, Rob Zombie CD, or, White Zombie.
Oh, sick.
And so I go down there and I go to pay at the cash register. We just spent, an hour and a half, 2 hours getting there. And she goes $16.50. And I only had $16 in my pocket. And I was like, fuck.
No.
So then I tried to go panhandle outside. I was like, I tried to explain the situation, but everyone thought I was just crazy. So I had to wait till next week to buy it. And like, you have to like plan it out too. Like, all right, because my parents didn't want.
Dude, for sure, yeah.
My parents didn't want me listening to Rob Zombie, And so you have to go on days off or days you have a half day at school or. And
or you got to ditch school, so then you're like concerned about like if you're going to get caught or not. But then you're like, "Fuck, this album's worth it." I do that all the time, man. Like, that's what we would do for that. And now you can just click it on your phone. But why not? I mean, fuck, I listen to music just like that. Like I do it the same way. But it's also important to me because it's how I grew up, and that's how I still that's how I was taught to appreciate music. And not everyone's taught that, and that's nobody's fault. They just don't know how awesome it can be.
I remember I would get pissed off too, like if an artist only had like a single piece of paper in the CD sleeve. Like there's no booklet. Oh man, you guys suck.
Hey, you know what? That's what's really cool about this album is we really pulled out all the stops on the physical copies too. We got a beautiful like brass copper inlay on it, and on the. It's like kind of reflective. It's super nice on the vinyl with like a huge gatefold that looks great and some awesome variations. Not to mention then on the actual physical disc, we are on the CD. In that booklet, we got a bunch of different like it's just a really really well designed with different kind of papers. And I used to love when I would look through like some of the pages kind of like overlap and lay over each other to make new images. And so it's kind of like there's like translucent paper in it. So it's really cool, man. Awesome. Like what's super important to us is to make sure that, our fans and our audience and the people that are supporting our music are getting something that they're going to want to keep and hold on to. That's not just a piece of plastic that ends up in the gutter of their car. Because that's the only place that there are CD players frickin' anymore. Yeah. And so for us, when we put out music and when we package our music, we want to really make sure that our audience is going to get something that's worth keeping, that's worth revisiting a little bit later, or that's worth reading the lyrics along with the album. That's another one of my favorite things to do. Is really get in there and dive in. It always pissed me off when there was no lyrics. I was like, what?
You don't know how many times I've messed up lyrics in like, saying them out loud because I didn't know them. And then you just feel like an asshole when you find out what the real lyric is. Like, oh, shit.
Right.
Like, that Bruce Springsteen song, the Heartache, or 6th Avenue Heartache, or... Fifth Avenue Freeze Out.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I used to get that always. I used to get that fucked up for the longest time until I was like 32. Like I used to think it had to do with Fifth Avenue. I don't remember, but I remember just feeling super embarrassed when my friends called me out on it. And it's always good to be able to read it. Yeah.
That's why. Yeah, I think that's why I always read the lyrics. I even had a journal that I would just write lyrics down of my favorite songs, and it would just be my lyric book. And half the time I would just make up the lyrics because there was no internet then either. Yeah. So I couldn't just like Google it.
Who's your